You've watched the video on how to sew by hand and you know your basic stitches. Now let's put them into practice with this lined zipper pouch. In this video, you'll learn how to make a lined zipper pouch by hand. You can use the same instructions to make one with a sewing machine as well. For this project, you'll need hand sewing needles, straight pins, thread, scissors, outside fabric, lining fabric, ruler, paper, and pin. The pattern for your zippered pouch is very simple to create. Simply make the length of your pouch about as long as your zipper and the height as high as you'd like it to be. For this pattern, I made my length 6 3/4 inches long and 4 3/4 inches high. Simply lay it on top of your fabric to cut out your lining and for the outside of your bag. I'm upcycling an old pair of jeans for the outside of my bag. When you're done, you should have 2 pieces of fabric for the lining and 2 pieces of fabric for your outside. You really don't need to go out and buy a brand new zipper to make a zipper pouch. I'm sure you have a zipper in something that you really aren't going to wear anymore. I took this zipper from an old pair of jeans. Now my zipper is a little bit wider than I want it to be, so I'm just going to trim a little bit off of each end. Now here's a caution. If I were to zip this zipper all the way up, it would come completely off of its teeth. So you want to be really careful if your zipper doesn't have stops on it that you don't zip it all the way to the top, because it's really a pain to put it back on its teeth. Okay, now that the zipper is the right length for the fabric, we're going to start the process of putting it in. You're going to lay it with the pull tab facing down toward the right side of your outside fabric. Then you're going to lay your lining fabric on top of the zipper to make sort of a sandwich with the outside fabric, then your zipper, then your lining fabric. And you can see how it's supposed to look in these pictures. Now that you have everything sandwiched properly, you're going to pin it together so that it doesn't shift around while you're sewing. Now that it's all sandwiched together and pinned, you're going to sew it together, and I used a back stitch to sew my pouch together. Now that you have one side of your zipper sewn in, you're going to go ahead and sew in the next side. This time, lay your fabric down with the lining down and put your zipper on top of it like it is in the picture. Then you're going to lay your outer fabric on top of your zipper to form another sandwich. And remember, pin it all together and sew it like you sewed the other side. And that's how it's going to look once everything is sewn together as it should be. Now you notice how I've left the zipper down a little ways. You're going to want to leave your zipper unzipped a good little ways, at least halfway, when you sew all the sides together. That way, when you turn everything, it'll actually turn. If your zipper is zipped up too high, you won't be able to turn your pouch right side out. Okay, so you're almost done. Put the right sides of the lining and the outside together and lay them flat. So your 2 lining pieces should be together and touching each other, and your 2 outside pieces should be together and touching each other. Next, you want to pin everything down, and as you're pinning, kind of push the outside seam toward the lining so that when your bag is done, it'll lay properly. After you're done, you're going to sew all around the edges. But you want to be sure that you leave an opening in the bottom of the lining so that you'll be able to turn your bag. Remember that opening that you left at the bottom of the bag? Well, you're going to push the bag all the way through, and it's going to look like a jumbled, bunched up knot for a little bit, but don't worry, it'll all straighten itself out in the end. Once everything is all turned around, you'll be left with a little bit of a hole in the bottom. You could use the running stitch or the whip stitch to close the hole in the bottom of the lining. I decided to use the whip stitch. And that's what the zipper pouch looks like with the lining poked inside the bag after everything has been sewn in place. And there you have it, your finished lined zipper bag, all sewn by hand. Well, that's it for this video. If you have questions or comments, please share them below. You can follow me on Twitter at ConsciouslyMod, and please consider subscribing to this channel.